Welcome to Trading Lounge and the US tech stocks, and we'll be looking at the NASDAQ and the S&P here before we start. And last week we were looking at this being an A and a B and a C wave here. Now it's moved up quite high here to be anything of a wave 4 in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4 here, so that's moved up too high. So the only alternative at this stage would be, if I have a look at the alternative count here for this market, would be something of this nature here. So moving up to the 61.8% roughly, and then moving down for wave C at this point. I guess it also could be down for 1, back for 2, down for 1 and back for 2 at that point. That's also possible as well, but this would be the more logical alternative count at this stage. So let's just go back to the original count here, and let's just talk about this for a moment. So what I'm trying to do at the moment with this is, and the same as last week, there's no real change in all of this, is that in a bit of a nutshell, we're looking for basically 5 waves to the upside here. Now, if we get 5 waves here, that's going to that's going to give, after 5 waves, we get an ABC correction in Elliott, and then we'll get another 5 waves up. So obviously, if we get 5 waves up, let's just say maybe not that high. Let's get a bit logical here and say that that we cover that little gap over on the left-hand side here, or something of that nature. So we get 5 waves up there. That's getting us quite close to the 50-60% retracement level as well, the 61.8%. So if we got 5 waves here, that means we'll get another 5 waves over here. So in a way, that would sort of blow the 50-60% retracement level out as well at that point. So then it would become more, then this would look even stronger at this point. When we started this last week, we didn't really have a case at all to present. So we presented this case, I presented this case, and we looked at alternatives as well. So nothing sort of changed in what we want to do. Is that we're not interested in trading this up to the upside, or we're not interested in trading stocks to the upside. I know that sounds a little bit weird, and in hindsight you look like an idiot, but what I'm really waiting for is those 5 waves there to confirm, because I also understand that if this count is correct, then we're going to be pushing up for quite some time here. Now, as I said last week, this would be wave 1, 2 here, and 3, 4, 5 up here. So this 5 waves would produce another 5 waves to the upside after that. Now, that's going to be this, when we get up to this 5 waves here, then there's going to be folks that will be mentioning that's got to be the top at this point for sure. Do you know what I mean? So, but once again, we'll just wait for an ABC back, and then we'll push in again after that. So it's always emotional, these sorts of things. But that's it in a bit of a nutshell. So let's just investigate this. Now, the 5 waves up here don't look that good. So in a bit of a nutshell, let's just look at the intermediate wave structure here. So we're looking for this to the upside. Let me just get this organized here a little bit. It'll be something like this, So let's just go to the 15-minute chart here for this. So that will be that wave 1 here, and it's looking quite good really, because if I just bring in the next degree here, we're going to look at this as 1 and 2 here. You can also put wave 1 here in a lot of cases. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, I know there's overlap there, and I'll be crucified for doing that, but we are getting and I know it's a little bit weird, but I noticed Bitcoin had taken out this top here as well. So we're, I do, as I consider Bitcoin a tech stock, God forbid. But, it's the way that the world sees it. I own Bitcoin. I've gone down the rabbit hole. I understand the difference. but it moves in line with the NASDAQ. But it has taken out that top, so it's kind of made a bit of a lead really. So we can look from this low here, we'll look up here for 1 and 2 here, and then we're getting this third wave here that will normally come in around the top, and the fourth and the fifth wave, wherever that comes to. Now that's going to give us 5 waves up at that point, so then we'll get an ABC pattern. How far it comes back it will be a mystery. It may come back to the 61.8%, but what we need to do at that point, of course, is just to count the structure as a 5-3-5 structure here, wherever it comes back to. It may be deep, it might be shallow, it'll sort of just depend. That will be that. Now, obviously, when we get up here, would be able to count this as being corrective as well. Would be able to look at this here in terms of an A wave to here. I'll just use this one here. It's a little bit large. An ABC pattern to this point, as an ABC and then an ABC and an ABC and a C wave here. So that's why we need to just also wait as well, and we're waiting for this B wave here. This will be a simple ABC pattern, and we'll be looking to go long at that point above that B wave there. Now obviously we'll start from the top here as we normally do, then we'll bring it down to this point, and then if we can get the first 5 waves up here, then we'll get the ABC on that one there as well. So this is what we talked about last week, and we just got to keep talking about it until we get our setup. That's all. It's as simple as that. And if all of this fails and it comes down, well, at least we've kept safe. But also importantly as well is that, many folks would be thinking about being bearish, and they could certainly be correct as well. But if they're wrong, they're going to miss this setup over here. And that's all we're going for at this point. Okay, this will be the same with the NASDAQ as well. I don't need to go to the larger chart at this point, but this is the same here as well. So in this case, we're looking for a further upside to come into play here. So we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Sorry, I should have labelled that on the S&P, but as 1 and 2 here, so that's how it is on the S&P as well. So we're going up for the third wave there. I don't think I've got, oh yeah, I've got that counted there, and so on. Do I have that even counted in here? Yeah, I do. So you kind of get the picture anyway. You can take that away, and we'll just go to 5 minutes or 1 minute, and those little 5 waves in here as well. So yeah, so that's just building it up from that wave 4, wave 3 here's 4, so we've got 1 2 3 4 5 for 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 2 3 4 5 for third, fourth, 1 2 3 4 5. So we need to come up here we need to come up here further for this is sort of where we'll be finishing over here for this. So yeah, so Monday and Tuesday to basically finish this off here. The move up here has been on lower volume on the Friday, even though it moved up. It's or lower volume on the futures market anyway. So not a healthy sort of thing, but we'll see how it plays out. And it certainly could fail here as well, because if I look at this here as an A wave here, a B wave here, and then 1 and 2. So I could end up failing up here for this, this trying to move up and struggle and cover that gap. So anyway, that's that. So there's nothing to really do. We just need for this to fall into place. That's the thing of it all. When we're ready, we'll go along over here if it gives us our setup, and we may be able to improve on that. That's all. So that's that. So we'll take this into stock. We're looking at Apple here on the daily chart, and it's the same coming down from the top here. And we're looking at wave C of 2 being in place. If I've made a mistake, then all of this will be the A wave. We'll look for a B wave up here for this, and then we'll have a C wave to the downside. But as it stands, we will be looking to go long once we've got a support on top of the major level here for this, which is the 200 at this point. So let's just go to the 15-minute chart here for a moment. And Apple's got a slightly different count to the upside here, But what we're really looking for is the classic trading levels pattern on top of this 200 here. So even if you don't understand Elliott, then this particular pattern will help you out. So we've got the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level. So this is where we are at the moment. We're in here somewhere. We've had the reaction from the 200 and we're pushing up here in 5 waves, and then we'll have an ABC. So we need to be over this side of the fence to get the perfect timing. We may get a variation on this where we get this situation where it doesn't drop below the level, but it doesn't matter. We'll still have this high and this high here, so we'll be using those to set up at that point. But this is the most common pattern out of the 3 patterns that we track at levels. So we've got the arrival and the reaction here, and we're looking for the first high above the level in this. So let's just pull this apart. So this is where we are at the moment. I could rearrange this a little bit as well, so that means that in terms of rearranging it, I can have this wave 1 sitting here and having this wave 3 sitting over here for this, and having this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's a couple of ways to do it. It doesn't really matter. I'm just still looking for the first high above the level here. So this move up here is the same as the NASDAQ and the SP. Well, it's obviously being created from here, so 1 and 2 and so on. So we'll see this push up here somewhere, and then we'll see some sort of ABC pattern. How deep it comes back down, that will depend on what news events and so on at that point. So yeah, so we'll see. We need to be over this. We need to be over this side of the fence anyway. Stuck there. Yeah, so that's that really. Yeah, it's got that as 5 waves up there. Anyway, it doesn't matter, it's all good. Same count here, it's all good. Okay, let's move along. And Amazon here on a daily chart, so also calling the low in here. In this one here, I don't have a fantastic looking structure to the upside here. The structure to the upside appears to be more corrective, but as you can imagine, you can see this consolidation here, which is the resistance, of course, and then that would sort of taper into the 200 here. So we won't go long on this market unless we've got some really strong impulse development. Otherwise, we'll be waiting to move in long on the 200 here, because in this case, this market and others can still make a new low coming down here for these. So we need to be a little bit careful about this situation. Okay, I don't think I've got this labeled here because I could see that it was. In fact, I think last time we spoke about this, we had this labeled as a. That's 5 waves. So we could look at this here as the A, the B, and the C wave here quite easily. But I do have this here in 3 waves as well. So I'll just see. It doesn't really matter at this point. It's got the same pattern here as the others. So we'll just I'll just drop this into minor degree here. It doesn't matter. It's nice that it's sitting on the 180. You can see how it's basically, this is a kind of a great example really, but it's always pretty much the same. The market's come down through here. It's tried to get back up through the 180 and then taken out some of the supply and taken out a bit more here and then taken out a bit more here, and then it's sort of sitting on here. It's not a really, this is the testing here, this is testing the support. It's not, it is testing it, and there's always a bounce off levels, so off numbers, and 8 is the 4th strongest number, the 180. So if it took the top out here, then this test here would be solid at that point. It's been retested, and it's, you know, and it's made a new high. So in that case, it's very simple to see. So we'll be looking for something like that. But this one here and others, be mindful that we can come down here first in some of these. Now, most of the stocks will just follow each other, even though that they have they have their own sort of patterns, but they've also, they're part of the herd as well, so they'll all be sort of doing their own thing on that basis as well. But we'll look, this is, I need to see more here. We need to get, it's not a very nice impulse wave, I get it. So we'll just wait for more information, and we'll move into some of these stocks, some before others, and it'll just depend if they're facing large numbers or they're above large numbers as supports. And here we're looking at NVIDIA, and in this case here we're sitting above the 100 here, so 1 is the strongest number, and we always get a bounce off levels. So yeah, let's just wait. It's still the same story here. We want to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, and then we'll go long above that B wave there if that clicks in. Okay, so on this one, let's just go to the 15-minute chart here, and we can just drop in some numbers here. And this is the same thing we talked about last week. Last week we're looking for wave 4 to come back. Wave 4 dropped a little bit low, it gapped, but we stayed with it, and then we're watching Friday move up, and Friday it closed strong, but it didn't really close strong on high volume, on increasing volume. Like it had this here had less volume than this this drop and this move here. So, but I'm okay with that because of the emotional drop at that point. But this is where we are. We need to be over here for this. So, and then we'll move in through the minor levels here as well, 10, 20, and 30 up here. So we'll build this. So this is probably one of the first ones in the first batch that we'll trade to the upside, because it's sitting on top of the 100. It doesn't need to get through it, So yeah, that's that. And now we're looking at Meta on a daily chart, and we're also considering the same situation here as well in terms of an impulse wave to the upside, but we yet to prove that, and we've got this nice number here, the 600, so we can look at that to build on as well. So let's just go to the intraday here and pick it up off this low. Now this one here, I mean, obviously, it does make a nice, A, B, and C wave here. I get it. So, in this case too, we can easily, this is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So we still need to look at this as a little A and a B and a C wave here, unfortunately, and then a move to the upside. And this one here, because we can look at it as an ABC pattern, it's quite possible for this to move down lower. I can't sort of, if I'm right on the bullish side, which is a pretty flimsy case at this stage, but it has improved from, the low, in each day and each week we move through, but it's still not a strong case. So, yeah, just need to be careful. Like I said, it's, if there is going to be a move to the upside, then we want to be ready for. We don't want to miss it, do we? Well, we want to do all the right things at the right time. We don't want to be emotional about it. We don't want to let our opinions come in and dictate to us. If we wanted to short this, for example, then we need to be under the level. We don't want to short it above the level. We want to be under it, and we want to be looking for a classic trading levels pattern, under the level like this here. We need to be on that side of the fence. So we need to do all the right things at the right time. So that's that, and that's Meta. Let's move along. And Netflix on the daily chart, and as you can see, we've got the 1000 as the resistance here, but at the same time we've got the 900 here as a bit of a balance line for this correction. Now we do have quite a nice correction as an A wave and a B wave and a C wave here, so that's all quite good. Once again, this particular pattern here is not that good looking at this particular point in terms of an impulse wave, so we need to be patient here as well. So we could certainly get another move down here for this as well. Okay, so it's just a matter of just waiting to see what we get, then we'll know what to do. In this point, in this chart here on the 15-minute chart, we can look at this. Okay, I've got it both. I had this both ways. So I'm looking at it 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here. And I like the 4 here because we've got 3 waves here. And then we can look at this. This is, you can look at that as a B wave here too. As an A and a B and a C against that. So that means that we could come down, it could even come down here first and then go up. So it doesn't really matter. You know, it's the thing is that, you know, if we do get a move up here, then we're going to get the ABC pattern. It's going to be as simple as that. And then we'll be going up at that point. So that means we'll just go long above the B wave. So we have to wait for this top to come into play. That's all. But yeah, you could easily read this in both ways. So at the moment, this is no good to us. But I like it because it's at the night. We're working with a larger number here. Right, so yeah, let's just chill a little bit on this, and it'll come to us. We don't need to chase it. You know, that's what I've been saying all last week, and we'll keep saying it this week. And it'll come to a point where we can either be on the long side with it, or we'll have to be on the short side with the markets. But yeah, either way, we have to wait for a setup. And here we've got Google on a daily chart. So we're finding support at the 150, and all we're trying to do is to see if we can get an impulse wave to the upside here. So in this instance, let's cruise on into the intraday chart at the low here, and this one's looking quite good. It's moved up quite a long way compared to the move down here, hasn't it? You know, so we can label it like this. So this one's looking quite good, and obviously we don't want to chase this up here on that. That doesn't make any sort of sense. But here we've got 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So it needs to build up here a little bit higher. And then once it drops down into this ABC pattern here, however that looks, as the wave 2. Now it might move low. We'll see how that goes. And the idea is to go long above this point here, but we may be able to improve that over here. You know, if we get an impulse up here and then an ABC, we'll be able to move in here, because we want to kind of scale in a little bit on some of these stocks. Now this is another stock that's sitting above the closest largest number. So the 150 here, we really want to be on that support. Well, it is on that support. Better to be above it. You know, better to be, when I say on the right side of the market, I mean, look, everybody's different. People that have been around a long time, as they say, everything you need to know is in the price. But for to get to that point, to understand what they're talking about, I mean, it takes a long time, and everybody sees things differently. Probably everybody sees in sort of, probably, groups of 4 or something, depends if they're visual or mental or this or that, But for me, if I had to say that I want to be on the right side of the market or the trend, well, the first thing that I need to be is I need to look at the closest largest number, and I need to make sure that that's being tested here, and it is being tested at the moment. It's not, it's not successful yet because it needs to take out that top there. And if it takes out that top, well, then that will give me 5 waves to the upside. Not a very nice 5 waves, I grant it, and it could still be a corrective move. So based on that, I have to wait for the ABC pattern here and go along on the B wave. So I'm just sort of, shuffling through everything, and I'll get to the point where I need to be, which is here, or I improve on that, because really we'll always start from up here and then move down to here, and then we'll move down here lower, and then we'll build in some positions, 2 or 3 positions here, that type of thing. So yeah, it's just about ticking boxes, really, that's all. Okay, let's move along. And this is Microsoft on the daily chart. Now this has been in a bear market a lot longer than the others, so I've got it as an A and a B wave up here, and then a C wave down here with 5 waves here. And once again, we're looking for 5 waves to move up here. And you can see here that the 400 is, well, it's not exactly a glass ceiling that women have to face, but it's it's certainly obvious that it is the resistance. So we need some boxes ticked here. We need 5 waves to the upside. It'd be nice to have it as support. So this is one that we don't really have to be in, straight away as such, but I always like to get a small position below the level if I can. So in this case, if we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and going up for 5 here, now we're up at the 400 there somewhere, and we get the ABC back, we will try to get a small position in here, and then we'll build on top of the 400, and then 10, 20 and 30 will build on as well. So just give that a bit of thought. And this first trade, when you're under a level like this, it just needs to be, a quarter or a third or some small position at that point. And here we're looking at Tesla on the 15-minute chart. I won't go to the bigger picture because there's 2 different counts, but we've got this low here, and this is, this particular pattern here is the same as the other markets that we're looking at. So let's just see how we go here. So we'll call a low in here at this wave 5 here, so 3, 4 and 5. And that will give us 5 waves down here. And I did look, this low here is a little bit low compared to this one, but I did look at this market here from TradingView, and we got this top here just on the aftermarket that took out the top here. Okay, so that's how I'll sort of justify that to myself, if that's the right way to go about it, or the way I can get away with it, I suppose. But more so, I understand that that humans are herd animals, and unless you're a bit stoic, so yeah, this is all pretty much the same. So I just want to see, let's just see if we get this up here. If we get this up here somewhere, maybe covering the gap over here or that high there somewhere, and then let's just see what we get over here. I don't know how big this is going to get here, but it will take a little bit of basing to move on. Now, once again, this particular brand has been pretty much banned by half of the public. So it's hard to see why it will go up, but, I just think markets are more, we're human beings and we're emotional. And I just see that, that markets are emotional, and these sort of stocks stick together a little bit. But this will be the trade at that point on the 250, which is the medium level, because you can see it here snaking across this number, and we just really want to make sure that it's, we could buy it now, but I could see that we could end up being green and then in the red, so there'll be tears of joy and then tears of disappointment. So we'll just chill on that event. So yeah, that's where we are for this market, and let's have a look at Bitcoin. So we're on a daily chart here at the moment, and if we're calling a low in for the NASDAQ, then it's likely that we've got a low in place here. Now I can see that from Kitty Upon and Sammy that we still need to come down. They've got it to come down, and I can see that. It's quite possible to come down, and I've always talked about that. But I thought I should be one person at least, considering a low being in play, and how would that sort of play out? Well, it would play out because it would be in line with the NASDAQ. And secondly, we can see that the 90,000 here is also the 50% retracement level from the top to the bottom here. The 62% is 50%. So I just want to see what it looks like, from that move to the upside there in due course, in line with the other market. So the takeaway here is I do not know. There's plenty of space for this to come down further in all of this. But it has found nice support at the 8,000, you know. I was thinking 72, but 75 is good. So yeah, I mean, over here it pushed back up high over here, and it spent a lot of time over here, and you know, just had that little sort of other move down here, and and you know, the move up here now has taken that second high out here where that little B wave is, you know. So that's a little, you know, that's a positive thing at that point, you know. That's basically it, you know, getting onto 83 here, getting support on 83, which is group one of minor group one of eight there. So that's a good thing. It's obviously hit this trend line coming through the top here. Not a very, I haven't done a perfect job with it, but you know, it's obviously doing that. But if I just go to the 15-minute chart here for a moment, we can see that, you know, this has got the same pattern as the NASDAQ and so on. But the NASDAQ and the S&P are here. Some of the other stocks like Microsoft and Google are a little bit higher up here. But Bitcoin has moved up here higher because obviously it trades over the weekend and all those sort of things. And the NASDAQ will eventually trade, I think it's, I don't know if it's 7 days a week, but 24/5 or something. But yeah, so this is kind of leading the NASDAQ race in a way, you know. So I'll just so I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do this. I'll just let this wave count do it, and so when it gives sort of, when it finds some counts here and nothing shows up here, it's because that you've got this sitting too high up here. So let's just have a little look. Yeah, I can see the problem it's got here because it's got this it's got this extra wave in here, so it's almost like, let me just see this. This will be 1 and 2. This is 1. That's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Have to go into there, wouldn't it? 1, 2, 3. So it's almost. Oh, I know. I can put that together. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's like a fourth wave there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's kind of like, in this case, got to put wave 1 here because I can see we've got 5 waves here. So that's 2 here. I think this is almost like this. And then if I just put that there for a moment. Unless I put all that there as wave 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, maybe. I'm just going to put it there though. It's a bit like this. Anyway, it does need some work, and I'm sure some folks have done some work on that. But we wouldn't be too far off it there. That could also, they'd be counted as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. They could pull down over here as well, but it doesn't matter too much. Yeah, it should give us that 5 waves to the upside, and I'm thinking that, you know, if that's correct, it'll be the same as the NASDAQ and so on. So we could look at this as intermediate here coming into here. So that's a real positive. That's a real positive sort of thing at this point. I do need to check it though. I mean, this has got 5 waves here, so that's cool. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe I do need to look at that as a B wave and put that over there. So this needs to be resolved. This needs to be resolved. The problem is in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, yeah. I think it's not quite like that. got to go to there, and that goes to there. And that will give us 5 waves up at that point. So maybe I do. How would it look that way? Doesn't make much sense going this way with it after seeing that there, does it? Doesn't quite work. I mean, I'd kind of like to put that wave 3 here and 4 here and this 5 over here for that. It doesn't matter. Anyway, it'll all come because all these markets will top out together and then they'll pull back here, right? And then we just got to, so don't worry about trading up unless you're going to be, doing something fancy and getting in and getting out and doing those sort of things. But yeah, like we want with the other markets, it's all about this move here. And then it's all about this little 5 waves in here. Once we get our 5 waves in here, then we can manage our position better. And then we can push up, and then this will be 5 waves here as well. So that will be so this is where we need to be. That's we could also do this 5 waves here, I guess, as well to manage the risk, So, if we're going to be going long in here, if that's going to be the case, then we don't need to chase that up. But I've made mistakes before where we don't pull back. I've drawn it back at the 80 here. It may not come back to the 8. It might come back. We might build up there might be this little block in here looks quite good. This little block in here, which is this top here and this support over here. So we may just come back into 83 or 85, and then we'll have to push all this up here higher. Anyway, I'll sort it all out, but yeah, it's probably going to be a bit like that. But it'd be nice to have that first high above the level there, nice and clean. I don't see any, for a hodler to buy at these lows here. It's good. I think I've got positions probably at most prices. In fact, from 10,000 upwards. Okay, I'll leave it all at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.